more songs.
Good evening, everyone. We are so humbled and blessed to have every one of you take out your special time and come and give us a platform to share our story. My name is Sam, and I have been so blessed to be a part of Imani and growing up, seeing how my parents, my dad and mom were so involved with children. And like you already heard, that we take care of over 3,000 children, and we have seen over, hundreds and hundreds of children graduate that we took care for. And then we have also been a part of over 10,000 individuals' lives. And that's to include the parents. Imani does much more than even sponsoring children. Pastor Moses Hopkins and the staff there have been a part of helping the parents. Some of these parents are infected with HIV/AIDS. Some of these parents don't even have enough money to afford rent. And some of the parents just need a helping hand. They struggle in so many areas. So as the organization, together with the church that he leads in Kampala, Gospel Messengers, we take care of over 10,000 people from all over. I think that's to include Congo, Rwanda, Sudan, and Uganda. So it's a big work, and you will be surprised when you hear the numbers. You may think it's so, so big, so financially able, but it all started with the heart. We didn't have any support. We didn't have anybody helping us from across the world, and we used the limited resources, the local resources from Uganda, and using the local people to support each other. And that's how we were able to help as many people as possible. But when the door opened, then we started having our voice heard beyond the borders of Uganda. But even before that, there was something, because like my dad always said, he never wanted the limitation of funding prevent him from being helpful to a person in need. So we used whatever was available then, and that's why, as you will see in some of the slides, some of the structures that we have, like the school buildings that we have, they're not the regular school buildings that you have in the United States. Take a look at some of those pictures. Those are some of the places that some of these kids call classrooms. They are built out of bamboo and mud. And the reason we did that is we didn't have the funding to establish a classroom. But yet we still wanted to see these children get the opportunity of go to school. So what we did is we would come with the local community and say, hey, what can we do? Nobody has money. So let's gather a team up. Let's set up some temporary structures. If children can temporarily be safe in this community atmosphere and have a decent education, at least that will be a good start for them until when God will open a door. But I'll tell you, out of those structures that you've seen, some of them are made out of wood. We have had students end up being some of the best in the nation. Take, for example, Josephine. Where is Josephine? Could you please come here real quick? Josephine and very many other students that we've had in Imani who come from really humble backgrounds. And some of them, like Susan, who is back at home, those are the places they used to call classroom. And they competed with other students all over the nation, some coming from wealthy families, going in schools that have all the facilities. And they ended up with Josephine being one of the best students in the nation, and she was even in the papers. And she's a very creative person. She wants to do fashion and design, and she designed the costumes that you just saw.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you, Josephine. You see such a young girl, talented, with so much great potential, and you imagine what her life would have been if it wasn't for someone to step into her life. So at times, to help someone, it doesn't need for you to have everything, but the little that you have. It could be a connection, it could be whatever resource, it could be in any form. That's how you can impact a life of a person in need. And at Imani, we have clearly witnessed that. The reason I'm standing in front of you is because there is an urgent call that we are trying to put out to you. In October sometime when we were in Paducah, Kentucky, I received news from my dad and mom. They were in Uganda. And one of our education centers is called Lusaka, and it's in Kampala. Kampala is the capital of Uganda. That's where the head office of Imani is. Now, this school, we've been operating everything there, but it's been temporary. And, but, you know, we've had some great successes in other institutions that we manage, education centers. For example, last year, as a result of the tour, Pastor Seth Goldsmith, together with a wonderful team of people, managed to come to Uganda. And through the Mission Uganda team, they were able to set up a complete, permanent structure, classroom in Uganda. And, you know, even before Pastor Mike and some teams that come in Uganda, they were able to do, you know, convert some of these structures that were semi-permanent into permanent ones. So in some of these education centers, the schools that were mud and bamboo are now starting to have permanent structures. There is a great deal of transformation that's happening in some of the, and I think the most recent picture of the school is Pastor Seth here. And some of the people who are on the Mission Uganda team, if you may wave. Okay, I see only said, yes, so that was the classroom, and yeah, that's when it's done, it's complete. It's so beautiful, you know, when you compare it to what it was before. But in Kampala, where the head office is, we've been having a school, and this school, the Ministry of Education, which is in charge of all the academics and education of Kampala district in which we're a part of, passed a law and which prohibits any school to exist if it has temporary structures. So they started doing an overhaul in Kampala and demolishing schools that were made out of temporary structures. So the thing is, they wanted to get rid of them. But here is the good news. As they were doing the demolition, we were always granted a grace period. And the reason as to why we were granted a grace period was because our school in our division was producing some of the best academic students, even in the wooden structures. So we ended up making our division proud, producing smart students and even talented students, like you see the choir. And because of that, the division was really cheering us up. The school is really located on a very tiny piece of property. How big is it? Do you know?
Half acre.
It's half acre. Just the structure, the entire school is on half an acre, with 657 students and staff members 32. Talk of keeping the overhead low. But you know that, and all you see, you know, this is the school assembly, this is where they come to pray, and those are the classrooms. Everyone is crammed up. We're trying to use the best of space, all right? If you need any contractors, call Ugandans and they will help you. But anyway, you know, it's a very small piece of property. And to add on that, could you imagine in the United States, if you had a school, 657 students, with a staff of 32, having one single block for a toilet, with only 3 single-use rooms. In other words, a total of 3 toilets for the girls and 3 toilets for boys. 657 have to share that. We wish we could do more, but resources could not allow us to be able to do that. And so inspectors came, you know, we try to keep the toilets clean. We try to do the best we can for the inspectors to give us a grace period. But the last time they came this year and they said, you know what, Moses, we understand you have done so well. In our community, you've rescued lots of children. You've helped a great deal. Your students are really scoring so high in academics. But we can't keep pushing the grace period there. You got to do something. In the same school that you see there, We have 4 office rooms on the same school, and they are 10 by 12. Still so small in each size. And we also have classrooms, and classrooms are 25 by 20, holding 90 to 95 students.
Oh my goodness.
And the recommended size from the Ministry of Education is that there should be 45 students in a 25 by 25. We have a kitchen, the school kitchen that serves 657 students. That's what it is, 10 by 13. Those ladies that you see do a tremendous job. These women wake up early morning at about 4 a.m. to prepare breakfast for the 657 students. They do not have, thank you, there is no electricity, they don't have gas cookers, they use firewood. And we have a meal that we call posho, which is like cornbread here. And they have to mingle it. You have like 3 men stand on a big pot, which is as big, and I kid you not, as big as the table that's in front of you. And they mingle the posho. They do this 2 times a day. They prepare porridge, and after they wash the plates for the 657 students, bless their heart. And they do, those are as big, you know, those are the saucepans that we use to prepare our meals. And, you know, I just wanted to bring this presentation such that you can have a clear picture of what it is. But again, the inspectors came and they said, you know, this is really not favorable, and anytime soon we're going to ask you to close the campus. It created a lot of tension and fear and worry in Uganda, and we shared with Pastor Moses and Hopkins, and we said, you know what, we've been asking people for a lot to sponsor. They have gone out of their way to do a lot for Imani. How can we ask them again? And we just thought, you know, if you don't ask, you may never know who could help in any way. So we went ahead and put out a request for people to come. And I asked Pastor Moses to give us a breakdown of what was required. They didn't want, what they asked him is, we understand it takes a lot of money to establish a new school and establish a new campus. But I understand you have a piece of property, because we had bought a new piece of property where we want the school to be constructed. And they told him, if you can at least break the ground, they'll give you enough grace period to at least get you started slowly by slowly constructing 1 classroom at a time. So he gave me the numbers and he said we would need a total of a minimum of $50,000 US. We have a piece of property, he has the details, and to clear the land would cost about $7,000. To level the ground, because it's on a steep slope, it would cost about $15,000. And to fence the property would cost about $8,000. The labor would cost roughly $8,000, and the machinery would cost about like $12,000. That is the minimum. And we say if we could start a campaign where we can find people who can help us achieve that goal, it would help the students that you just saw stand right before you here continue to have an education until the day when we shall be able to have the classrooms. And it's our dream. In fact, it didn't stop at that. They went ahead and started establishing a plan for the new school. And the plan was developed, and we can't say this is going to come overnight, but we have a vision of the new campus. We got even the artistic impression of what it's going to look like. They measured everything out, and the plans and the works are still underway, you know, to get the bill of quantity and all that. Everything is being approved, but the Ministry of Education looked at the plan and they were pleased, because that entire plan that you see there is how the school will look like eventually when it's finally completed. But in the meantime, what we would love to see happen is us being able to break the ground. So in Kentucky, we started a campaign, and 9 families who were host families, God bless host families. Host families came together, and that night, we had a total of 9 families pledge over $15,000. So we had some writing, some were pledging to do it a little later, and others were writing their checks that night. But still we were thinking, because they had given us a deadline of February. When it came to about December, I had another report